Welcome to another edition of the Crown's Way video newsletter. I'm your host, Kyle Roscoe, with managing partner to my right, Tony Rallo. Tony, lots of good things coming up this week, and we have a couple races we're going to talk about tonight, as well as some new faces in the barn, getting one to the barn, but also getting to the track for the first time. You can see on the bottom side of the screen right now, scrolling past, you can follow us on X at Crown's Way Racing. And of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or you want to get into these new series that we're offering, please email Tony, Anthony Rallo at crownswayracing.com. Tony already kind of hinted at it. Two races coming up, both for Otago and the Hund, who just got entered back in a race on Sunday at Churchill. But a couple of new claims, or one new claim as well to talk about for the partners.
Yeah, no, we got a busy weekend coming up with the racing. We just brought our Street Sense filly to the track, so a lot of good things happening.
Yeah, and that we're still open to people getting in on the Street Sense filly as well. So if that's something that interests you, again, email Tony. His email scrolling at the bottom of the screen right now. Tony, we only really mentioned it on Twitter. We didn't mention it anywhere else, but Go for Rocket was a horse that we claimed out of a race. We won a 20-way shake, I think, to claim this horse out of the race at Churchill, bringing up on the screen right now. What was your thinking when you went with this nice Candy Ride colt by a first two mare?
We liked her from the beginning, Armando and I. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Candy Ride, and then on the bottom, Floridora, who's she's a former Grade 1 performer, and I know she's a stakes winner. I'm not sure how high she won at, but she was a really nice race mare in her time. Yeah, made 600,000 at the track. She's a black type winner. She's not a Grade 1 winner, Grade 1 placed. So, yeah, there's a lot of credit to that pedigree. We thought he had run some solid races in Florida in the winter. He had run against Slay the Day, who came back to be a stakes winner. Had also run against a horse that hit the board in the American Turf. So, had been in with some monsters. So we claimed him out of that race at Churchill. He was a beaten favorite that day. First attempt on dirt and first time getting kicked back. So we think he should improve off of that. He was a little skinny when we brought him in, but he looks like he's been putting on some good weight and going in the right direction for Armando.
Which obviously is what we want to hear, right? You want to get these horses back into racing shape. Is the plan with Armando, do you know, keep him on the dirt, or are you going to try and put him back on the turf? What's the kind of the plan going forward with Armando?
We're really at the mercy of the Churchill condition book. Right. I wouldn't hesitate to run him on dirt again. I would probably just be a little observant of keeping him in the clear and not a kickback. But turf is always going to be an option for him, as he's performed pretty well over it in his limited experience so far.
No, absolutely. And happy to have one of our first horses with Armando dating back to the times we were running at Hawthorne. So good to have Armando back, and you've gotten to know him on this video newsletter. So hopefully we can get some winners. And the claiming group is not done, Tony, I guess is the number one thing. I know you're still looking to claim a couple more for this group.
Yeah, we still got ammo left in the bankroll. So we're looking every day at Churchill and trying to find something that makes sense for us and makes sense for Armando's program. And we probably got room to add about 2 more.
Well, and that's, like I said, and that's the best thing about it. If you want to get real-time updates on those horses when we claim them, again, our X followers were the first ones to know. Again, follow us on X at Crown's Way Racing, or Twitter for those that I still call it Twitter all the time. So for those that don't know, follow us over there at Crown's Way Racing. Tony, you mentioned the Street Sense filly getting the track for the first time. We have video of her as well. This was her in the green cap right here, again, just getting her feet wet, per se, while getting used to the track.
Yeah, today was her first day going to the track at Turfway. So just doing some routine galloping with company. It's a nice thing about being in a big stable like Kelsey's, is there's plenty of 2-year-old company to go with. But just a good start that we know that we now have her in training to get prepared for a race. So still a long way to go with her, but first hurdle is cleared as we've got her off the farm.
Yeah, and that's always one of the biggest hurdles, is getting them to the track, which is always a nice thing to see, especially when, we just bought her a couple months ago, but the 2-year-old in training sale, that's the benefit of it, right, Tony, is having those horses already in training. So in theory, you can get them to the track a little bit quicker.
Yeah. Exactly. And she's about 2/3 sold at my last as the last time I looked at it. So I think we still have 8 shares available in her. Shares were $10,000 with returning partners being able to buy in half share increments. So if anyone still wants to get on this exciting filly, we'd love to hear from you. And then also we still need to come up with a name for her. I've been kind of scouring looking for names on her. Taylor's Spirit or Taylor's Vision on the bottom side. Or no, it's Taylor's Spirit. I
Taylor
keep wanting
Spirit,
to
yep.
say Taylor's Vision. Kelsey recommended something Taylor Swift related. I've been just kicking around a lot of names, but we don't have anything. So if anyone has any great ideas, please drop them or reply to this when we send out the newsletter with any name suggestions.
Yep, exactly. And do that. Either send that to Anthony Rollo or Kyle Roscoe at crownswayracing.com. Would love to hear from you guys. Tony, again, going into the races now. First, we'll talk about is Otago's. This was in the email blast that I sent everybody last weekend. But again, give them a little bit of a kind of a run back per se, as this race, as Churchill usually does, comes up pretty tough. We're in the body of the field. However, that the claiming 75 is on the docket. He's 15-1 on the morning line. Couple of tough contenders in here along with him.
Yeah, we felt he just didn't really get a clean trip on the last time. He's a big horse trying to go through a small hole in the last race and kind of got held up a little bit. So we're hoping for a little bit of a cleaner trip in this one. Ravelli's in with Higgins' boat, who was in the last race he was in and scratched out of it. So who knows if that horse will be in again or will run back this time. And then, yeah, there's some other sharp contenders in here.
Yeah, and I'll bring up the daily racing form. Honky Tonk Highway was a nice horse, although he's kind of trying turf, second time out, third time now, but hasn't really done anything on the turf. So that's interesting off of the claim for Joe Sharp. Beef Winslow was always a nice horse. On the West Coast for Bob Hess, now comes back over here. Still running some nice numbers, but the claiming level is probably where he wants to be. The other horse you mentioned, it was I'm exact estimate's a horse for Cox that was in the Chad Brown barn, has bounced around a little bit, but turf is probably his best, so he'll be tough. And then Higgins' boat, as you touched on, always very quick in Tom Amos's barn, and now in Larry Ravelli's barn. You know that's what they're saying. There's one way that they go, and it's quick out of the gate. So time form has it listed as a pretty fast pace. We have us in the back, but we do have the best late pace in the race per time form US's standards. So that's something to go on, especially when the pace should be pretty quick up front.
Yeah, I think he's flirting with running a big one. And if we get a big late pace in here, he may find some of his old form and with a good setup come running. So, yeah, I think we're knocking on the door with a couple of these horses right now. And we just need one to get us off the duck. And I think we'll start rolling.
And if you've been around Cronsway for a long time, you know that the winnings always come in bunches when they end up doing. So hopefully we can get one off the docket there. But Otago, like I said, he's matched up pretty well against these horses based on his old form. Just got to get back to it there. And if the pace does heat up, there's no reason why he can't be in there, even though he is off a pretty quick turnaround. But the drop to the claiming level might be the little kick that he needs to get through on the win end. The other race we have this weekend, Tony, is the Hund, and that's going just carded on Saturday. It's race number 4 on a Sunday. That's what I did that last time too. I don't know why I do that. On Sunday, just got carded. It's race 4, the maiden special weight for the horses that are restricted RNA'd for 65,000 or less. Still worth 92,000 in Kentucky though, Tony, and that's the beauty of it. Field of 9, also 15-1 on the morning line, but I think he matches up really well in here.
Yeah, 15-1 seems like I feel like Otago will be that 15-1. Hund probably shouldn't be 15-1 in there. He probably belongs more in the 7 to 8 range. But no, we're getting a little bit added distance. We're not getting the 2 turns that we had hoped for. But stretching out to the 1 turn mile, I guess every foot of distance more we can get is probably ideal for us. And as we've pointed out on this podcast before, when you match up buyer tops, usually there's a jump in there coming. And hopefully that's the case here for the Hund.
Yeah, and quite a secret who's the Hund's dam. We've mentioned it before, but this horse, Copper Storm, ran some really nice races that almost signal that he can run even an even bigger one. Tacitus on the top ends had a pretty good start to his, but dirt routes have been his forte so far. So again, Tony, you mentioned the longer we go with him, the better it's going to be. Another horse for us that's been working really well at Turfway out of that Keeneland race. Back-to-back 48s and change, 4 out of 17 on May 6th and 5 out of 30 on May 14th. So hopefully, you mentioned the buyer tops can take a step forward, hopefully staying on a big one here, which should be a pretty decent price as well again.
Yeah. No, we think he's a nice horse, and he tried all the way around at Keeneland last time and just was not able to. The horses in front, it just didn't come back to him. But this little extra added ground should help us, and eventually to getting to 2 turns will help us as well.
And that's the thing too, when you see these horses like the Hund last time, where he kind of just ran evenly, the longer distance, visually watching him, the longer distance should be no problem at all. So
yeah, and Tacitus, and yeah, he's bred to go long.
So hopefully that'll be really good for us come Sunday. But again, Friday tomorrow for Otago. That I didn't mention it on the time, but that was race 6, 3:18 p.m. Eastern is the post time for that. And then the Huns race on Sunday is race 4. That is 2:14 p.m. Eastern. Again, stick to Twitter. I will keep updating the Twitter with both race day alerts and if we do end up claiming anything, there are a bunch of claiming races over the next couple of days. Not sure if Tony's looking. Don't want to say it too publicly, obviously, but you will see it on Twitter first if that claims through. Tony Shards, there's a couple other ones. Shards was entered, got monsooned on in Indiana. So hopefully that race will come right back. And again, anything else for the partners before we leave them off with this edition of the video newsletter?
Yeah, no, unfortunately we were sitting pretty. It looked like with Shards, he was a pretty good spot at Indiana. And then the monsoon just kind of canceled racing for the rest of the day. We were scratching anyways because it was coming off the grass at that point. But sounds like they're going to bring that race right back on the overnight in Indiana. So he should be in again soon. Second City Saint, she's ready to go. So we're looking to find a spot for her. And Bucks Howell's also at the point where he's ready to run. It's finding a race at this point.
Yeah, he's running the Tapeta at Gulfstream. He's a little bit harder of a horse to try and find, whether you go to dirt or turf. Again,
he's definitely going to be turf or synthetic, as will Second City Saint.
Okay, which again, it's in the summer, it's either Churchill where the races can show pretty tough as you've seen, or trying to find these races where these horses can be competitive is always the fun of being a managing partner of a racing stable, as the man to my right can do. But anyway, guys, good luck. Again, follow us on Twitter at Quansway Racing. You have any questions, comments, or concerns, or want to get in on that Street Sense Philly, still a bunch of shares available. Anthony Rollo at crownswayracing.com. Give him an email, and he'll get back to you as soon as possible. But for my friend and managing partner of Crownsway Racing, Tony Rollo, it's been your host, Kyle Roscoe, in the May 21st edition of the Crownsway video newsletter. Good luck to all the partners this weekend.